I can't wait to get on the New York airwaves and troll everybody who's claiming the Celtics had the weakest path to the championship of all time.
Caitlin Clark wasn't upset about it. Why are we? Why are we so fired up?
You know, Booker T would be sitting around watching his phone in the locker room going, well, goddamn, DeChambeau, get the hell out of that thing.
I couldn't tell you the last time I've cared this little about a Stanley Cup final.
Everyone thought the Olympic character was going to be Gable Steveson. They had the wrong Gable.
And he missed the opportunity by not rolling up right on the course in a paddy wagon like Dominic Mysterio at WrestleMania. Then Scheffler would have been my favorite golfer of all time.
I mean, was Larry Bird unfollowing the Celtics?
And, you know, Emmanuel Macron or whoever is at the one end, and then there's Hulk Hogan at the other, and he just goes, that doesn't work for me, brother.
I've had now 2 conversations on microphones about the Belichick relationship. In both conversations, the person I was talking to brought up Anna Nicole Smith.
I would suggest making ayahuasca retreats OTAs, organized team activities.
From Wondery, I'm Peter Rosenberg, and he's Corey Graves. And
was I supposed to do that?
Well, yeah, but no. This is over the top.
I'm new.
And here's how the show works. Best stories of the week in sports and pop culture face off to crown a champion and answer the simple question. What is the undisputed most important thing on planet Earth this week? We're going to decide the only way we know how, using Royal Rumble rules. So we'll start with 2 stories and decide which one is more worthy to discuss and which one has to go. After 90 seconds, a new story will be introduced, and we'll have to decide whether we want to keep talking about the current story or switch to the new one. We don't know the order of the stories coming our way, but we do decide which ones get thrown over the top. Does that make sense, Graves?
I think I have a reasonable grasp on the rules.
All right, here we go. First topics of the day. The NBA Finals are in the books, and the Celtics, yes, the Boston Celtics are champions for a record 18th time, surpassing the Lakers. Boston dominated Dallas from the opening tip. They cruised to a 106-88 victory. My guy Jaylen Brown took home the Finals MVP. Tatum had 21, 8, and 6. Derek White chipped a tooth, but was great. Peyton Pritchard hit a half-court shot, as he does. Boston fans chanted, fuck Kyrie, basically the whole game. But perhaps sweeter than all of that was seeing Magic Johnson tweet after the game, I hate the Celtics officially have more rings now than the Lakers. That's topic 1. It is up against last week, Charles Barkley announcing that he will retire from broadcasting after next year, the final year of Inside the NBA on TNT, saying, I ain't going nowhere other than TNT. I've made the decision that no matter what happens, next year is going to be my last on television. Meanwhile, the NBA is poised to receive $76 billion in future TV rights fees from ESPN, NBC, and Amazon this summer, and Chuck will no doubt be the hottest broadcasting free agent of our lifetime. So, Graves, the question is, are we breaking down the NBA Finals to a fine powder? Or are we talking about the future of Charles Barkley? What do you want to do?
I think personally, I can relate a little bit better to the future of one Charles Barkley as a professional broadcaster and one of my favorite basketball players of all time. I would be forced to admit how lapsed I am as a basketball fan had we attempted to break down the finals. I kept an eye on it. I knew who won. I understood the implication of the most rings in history. That's cool. But I've really had a hard time being an NBA fan for the last decade or so, for a whole litany of reasons. But let's talk about Charles Barkley.
Okay, so then let me do this. I'll rock with the guest, and we'll talk about Chuck. But let me say this as I throw my Boston Celtics over the top rope. I can't wait to get on the New York airwaves and troll everybody who's claiming the Celtics had the weakest path to the championship of all time. Hey, you know how you get a weak path? By winning 64 games during the regular season, getting the number 1 seed, and getting favorable matchups. That's what they got. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown have shut up the critics, and I have bad news for Celtics haters. This could last for a while. They're going to re-sign Tatum to a massive max contract. Jaylen Brown's already under contract. Drew Holiday is there for another 4 years. So Lakers fans, you guys could be dealing with not only being down 18-17, it could end up like 20-17 when this Celtics team is all said and done. But let's toss that over the top. And
well, before we throw it out, it's hanging on to the top rope, trying to avoid elimination. My whole issue with what you just explained is I have a hard time. Obviously, growing up in Pittsburgh, we don't have a basketball team, so my NBA fandom sort of hinged on who was popular at the time. But I grew up in the era of Barkley, of Jordan, of the great. In the last decade or so, man, I couldn't tell you any 3 players on any one team, because it is constant motion. As soon as I'm like, oh, cool, this guy plays in this city now. Oh, I'm going to go check that out next day. Nope, he's gone. Oh, well, he played with this guy, right? Nope, they're both gone. Now they're both together on the other team. It's too confusing. It's like a full-time job. So I'm going to just stick with what I know, which is broadcasting. And I don't really know much about that.
No, I would argue that as well. But I will say this. There is something you could like about the Celtics, which is they have really now formed this group that I think will be there for a while. But to your point,
I remember the big 3, right? When they had Rondo and
KG, Paul Pierce.
Yeah. See, I mean, they were around together long enough that I actually got to pay a little bit of attention and know what I was talking about. But I just feel like,
and the Warriors have lasted for a while now too. You know Draymond, Steph, and Clay. They've lasted.
Sure. Okay. So I stand corrected.
Either way, let's move to the Charles Barkley double. Let me ask you this: do you think in reality Charles Barkley is going to retire completely from broadcasting at this stage?
I think Charles Barkley is probably going to take the next step into this next media empire with this next deal. If he isn't given what he's asking for or what he wants to do, he's got the means, he's got the ability, he's got the talent and the fan base to start his own thing. Maybe he takes it digital. Maybe he does, like on X or something exclusive to a social media platform. But the money's there for a guy like that. And Barkley is far and away the most entertaining sports broadcaster that we get to enjoy regularly. I think it would be a crime to not feature him somewhere or make him happy. But you never know with these guys. I mean, athletes live their life a certain way and you think, oh my God, retirement, it's so daunting. But he's had another successful career after his athletic career. So maybe he is going to go, hey, you know what? It's time to enjoy my life and all this money I've stacked away. I'm going to go buy an island and disappear.
Right, exactly. Or I'm going to have the George Foreman stage of my career where I come up with some product and make $1 gazillion. Like, you never know with these charismatic dudes what is possible. I tend to think he's hopeful that somehow TNT will still stay in the game, in which case he would still broadcast. But I also believe the guy that probably at this point, the idea of starting over again at another network, like he's been a part of Turner. It's his entire TV career. It's the only TV he knows is those executives, those producers, Ernie, those are all his guys. So I tend to believe, Chuck, that he won't broadcast like in a mainstream way again, as you pointed out, unless it's with TNT. All right, up next, it is time for our weekly installment of As Caitlin Clark's World Turns. The Fever faced the Sky this weekend, which pitted Clark against fellow high-profile rookie Angel Reese. And of course,
see, I know about this, Peter. I'm going to cut you off. I actually paid a little bit of attention this week. Continue.
All right. Angel Reese, of course, when those two get together, drama ensued. On a drive to the hoop, Reese clobbered Clark and was called for a flagrant. Caitlin shook it off and responded with the best game of her WNBA career. She finished with 23, 9, and 8, 7 of 11 from 3. After the game, Reese called the foul a basketball play and said, I can't control the refs. I'm always going for the ball, but y'all are going to play that clip 20 times before Monday, while Clark said it's just part of basketball. It is what it is. Trying to make a play on the ball, get the block. I mean, it happens. I don't even need to ask. We did enough on Charles Barkley. There's a lot to say about Caitlin Clark, who in wrestling terms, Graves, I'm amazed at her mastery of being a babyface. She is the good guy and says the good guy thing no matter what the situation is. She's Cody Rhodes wearing an Indiana Fever jersey. What were your thoughts from this weekend?
Listen, I thought it was a basketball play. I thought it was a heated moment. I mean, it happens. Could you have called it? Sure. I wouldn't, spend all weekend complaining and raising all this hell about it. I could see both sides of the coin. Caitlin Clark wasn't upset about it. Why are we? Why are we so fired up? And then she responded with the biggest FU you can athletically do by having a career game. So I'm not going to cry and whine and moan. I'm just going to beat you. Because when I beat you, you can say whatever you want to say about me for as long as you want, and you can make up whatever, rumors or this, that, and the other thing. The facts are the facts. The stats are the stats. Caitlin Clark's setting the basketball world on fire. I'm paying attention for the first time since in the existence of the WNBA because she's getting eyeballs, right? And I love what Angel Reese is playing the role. She's the antithesis of it. She's trying to be the yin to the yang, and it's awesome. And I saw something perhaps on ESPN yesterday that they were talking about how could this rivalry be good for the league? Absolutely. Absolutely. When I was growing up, I knew Magic and Bird, right? Before I even knew about basketball and the nuance of it, you knew there was a video game with those two guys on it.
Yep.
And you're a Lakers guy, you a Celtics guy, whatever it is, I think it only helps the game. And I think Angel Reese has taken a lot of unnecessary heat from a lot of places on the outside who are seeing it from 30,000 feet and just going, oh, well, that doesn't look right, without knowing what's actually happening on the court, in the locker room. I think Angel Reese is taking a lot of crap that she shouldn't have to right now, but I think she's arguably one of the best things that could happen to Caitlin Clark in the WNBA.
You know what? I don't even have a lot to add, Graves. You know what? You're not half bad at this thing. Absolutely right. They're perfect together. I would argue this. Like, I hope that Angel Reese, for her own mental health, is sort of leaning into being the heel here and playing sort of, because she's not doing anything wrong.
It's circumstance. Like she's a villain of circumstance.
Exactly. And she's a villain of circumstance. And I hope she's choosing to just lean into it and enjoy it, because she plays hard basketball. By the way, that is Angel Reese's style of basketball. And I'm not going to be one of those men who gets on TV and now pretends to be a WNBA expert. But we know Caitlin has this very pretty Steph Curry game. Angel Reese is a more defensive, hard-nosed basketball player. So them having a play like that is not
surprising. Isaiah Thomas in the WNBA. I like it.
Up next, Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Finals is tonight. Despite getting blown out 8-1 in Game 4 by the Oilers, the Panthers still lead the series 3-1. It almost reeks of exactly what happened in the NBA Finals in Game 4. Graves, do we have more you want to talk about with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, which I'm up for? I think there's more meat on the bone. Or do you want to move on to the NHL Finals, which do not include either of our favorite team, the Pittsburgh Penguins?
I am a hockey fan. I consider myself a fan, generally speaking, of the game, and I couldn't tell you the last time I've cared this little about a Stanley Cup Final. I mean, I would love to see Edmonton win it, because I think all victory in hockey belongs to Canada as a nation. I feel like it's right. Everything is right in the world. Yeah. If the Canadian teams win, I just don't care. So let's stick with Reese and Clark.
Yeah, I agree with you. Over the top you go. You know, the Penguins didn't even make the playoffs this year, so Graves and I were out before the tournament even started. Let's just be honest. It's been a long time since I cared. But back to Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, I completely agree that this is an amazing moment for this league, and I really hope, I'm not hopeful, but I really do hope that we can get away from making everything about Caitlin Clark a somewhat political conversation.
Correct.
And I don't mean literally Republicans and Democrats, but I just mean she's being turned into a political tool for whatever people want to talk about. And she's literally just going out, playing the game, wanting to prove it. The other players are doing what they're supposed to do, which is beating the hell out of her, as they should when you're this young rookie who's so dominant. So I just feel like everyone's doing the right thing, kind of except the people covering it who insist on making it something more than basketball, when really this is just awesome basketball.
And listen, Peter, you speak for a living. You understand how some days you wake up and there is nothing to talk about. You have to drum something up out of thin air. You have to create a boogeyman. You have to create a scenario. I think that's what we're running into with a lot of these talking heads in the sports networks that, to your point, are making this so much bigger than it should be. I think we should all be enjoying and accepting it for what it is. I think it's important for sports as a whole. I think as a society, I mean, we know WNBA's existed for how long, and nobody, casual fans, at least speaking personally, have ever really paid attention. I mean, I remember Cheryl Swoops was probably one of the only WNBA players I could name for you a few years ago. And it's getting a lot of attention. And I think in an effort to pile more attention on it, we're doing it the wrong way. And I say we as a society, as a country or whatever, where everything is black and white and everything is this, that, and the other thing. And to your point, political. I think we should enjoy it for what it is. You've got a generational basketball star in Caitlin Clark. You've got Angel Reese, who had there not been a Caitlin Clark, might be the face of the league at some point, or would have been definitely in the conversation. So let it play out. Let sports be great. Let it be personal between the two of them. Sure, we could stoke the flames from time to time, but we've lost the point. Why are we? This is about basketball. It should be about basketball. It should be about sports and basketball, and not what your opinion on who you're voting for is.
I'll throw you a thing before we bring up the next topic. There was a time, guys, where Tiger Woods, his race was a story. It was like, wow, this person of color is dominating golf. Oh my God. And all these people, myself included, probably you too, started to watch the game for the first time.
Absolutely. It was an anomaly. It didn't matter what the color was. It was something you'd never seen before.
And then as time goes on, you realize, oh, the only thing anyone talks about is how big a beast this dude is. Like his what sort of background he had kind of fell to the background. And I hope that with Caitlin and Angel, not that it's all about race with them specifically, but just this women in sports, is the league doing enough? Are they marketing her the right way? Let's let it get to the sports part of that conversation, because maybe, just maybe, we'll have a fifth major sport in this country, and it'll be the WNBA, or a fifth major league, I should say. Rory McIlroy imploded at the U.S. Open on Sunday. He opened the door for Bryson DeChambeau to win the whole thing, which he did. Rory was playing lights out and then seemingly forgot how to putt down the stretch. I can totally relate because I've never been able to putt. McIlroy missed 2 3-foot putts on his last 4 holes and lost by 1 stroke. Do you want to stay with Caitlin and Angel or move on to the choke job from Rory?
Well, I think the only sport that I know less about than women's basketball is golf, Peter. So I don't know what about me strikes you as a man who would follow anything that goes down on the links, perhaps with the exception of Tiger Woods, whom we just spoke about moments ago. But you're the host. You're driving the ship, man. I'm following you. I am beholden to Rosenberg's brain today.
Oh, that's a worrisome moment for you. I think we've done enough on Caitlin and Angel. I just feel like
fair enough.
Let's toss them over the top. I was not fully locked in to the U.S. Open all weekend because guess what? Tiger Woods didn't make the cut. So like a lot of other people, my interest level goes down a bit, but I was keeping my eye on everything. Obviously, crazy to see Scottie Scheffler have such a bad weekend and such a cool opportunity for Rory McIlroy to get another marquee win. Like I just always think about how it seemed like Rory was going to be the next guy. Like he was on pace to be the next guy. And not to say that he hasn't become a major guy, but he has still sort of not had that collection of moments to make him the guy. I would argue the same with Bryson DeChambeau, who wins his second U.S. Open. He was another guy who people thought, oh my God, he hits the hell out of the ball. He was the kind of guy who Graves during a Sunday, Booker T would be sitting around watching his phone in the locker room going, well, goddamn, DeChambeau, get the hell out of that thing. But as time has gone on, he just has not seemed to captivate the imagination. So to me, while yes, everyone's going to talk about the fact that Rory had a disappointing Sunday, to me, the real crazy disappointment to talk about this weekend is Scottie Scheffler. The guy has been on fire. Graves, I think when the tournament started, he was something like minus 150 to win the whole thing. Maybe minus 190.
Listen, I paid attention to Scottie Scheffler for one reason, one day only. And I followed through. I thought maybe this guy I can get behind. Maybe this is the guy that's going to get me to watch golf. And he missed the opportunity by not rolling up right on the course in a paddy wagon like Dominic Mysterio at WrestleMania. Then Scheffler would have been my favorite golfer of all time. And I guarantee you a lot of people that didn't watch golf would have. But beyond that, I was in Scotland this weekend. So,
that's
they don't have golf over there.
No one plays golf there.
I think the biggest, there's a huge tournament actually coming up next weekend. See, I know that much.
No, it's definitely at least the second biggest sport. I think. Maybe third. All right. Up next, Monday Night Raw kicked off this week with the shocking return of Seth freaking Rollins to WWE. We have not seen the Visionary since losing his world title at WrestleMania 40 back in April, and now he's back. He's going to challenge Damian Priest for that very same title at Money in the Bank, July 6th. I think it goes without saying here, since you've expressed your, I won't say disdain, but just lack of interest in golf, we'll toss Rory over the top and talk about Monday Night Raw last night and the return of Seth frickin', who you've known for a very long time, Graves. You must have been
many moons. It was very exciting. It was one of the rare instances where there were no rumors preceding the occurrence. Nobody seemed to be expecting that. You usually hear rumblings if you follow on social media enough. So it's very hard to surprise anybody these days. Yeah. So for that to be done to kick off the night, that sets the tone. Rollins the top star, man. And I was looking on at the roster on the flight over to Scotland, just of how plagued by injuries sort of the top of the card has been over the past several months. Post WrestleMania, you lost Punk, you lost Drew, you lost Rollins. I mean, people going down night after night after night. And now it's getting to that point where it's about to reverse. Drew McIntyre just came back. Punk's not too far from getting medically cleared. He's going to be in Chicago Friday. Hopefully there's some big news coming out of that. Rollins is back. There's some more guys that are going to be gearing up, coming back right on time, man. It's Money in the Bank, right into SummerSlam, into Berlin. We need all the top tier stars we can muster, and credit to everybody who's held down the fort in the absence of the top tier, because that's how you really become a star. You force yourself to step up in that situation. And I think we've created a few stars in the interim, but I don't think anybody is disappointed that Rollins is back.
Also, last night we got the debut of sorts of the Wyatt Six to end the show. What did you think when you saw the lights go out and the madness that ensued?
I cried.
Really?
Peter, I sobbed. I sat in my bed. I was in bed. My wife was asleep, so I had Raw and the volume turned very low. And I had assumed that it was going to happen at the end of the show. And I wasn't sure what to expect, because it's such a touchy subject, because Bray Windham meant so many things to so many different people. It was such a unique character, a unique presentation. I don't think it could have been done any better than it was Monday night. When you walked into Gorilla with the camera and you saw Gorilla in shambles, which is striking even to me to watch and see, having been in there for years and years and years, and it always looks exactly the same. So to see it completely destroyed and sparks flying, and it was unbelievable. There's nothing I can say that would do it any more justice. I was watching it in bed, and when Uncle Howdy was revealed and Uncle Howdy started walking toward the camera, man, I'm telling you, I know the man behind Uncle Howdy as well as I knew the man behind Bray Wyatt. And there was something magical happening there, man. When Howdy started walking and hearing the crowd start to understand and realize what was happening, I got emotional, because it felt like Bray was so important to so many of us, and everything that he created and he took so much care of and so much pride in. It would have been a disservice to do anything less than perfection. And man, it was a home run. I got out of bed, went back downstairs to my living room, and watched it 2 more times in a row. And each time I noticed new things. I saw it a little bit differently. I couldn't be any more excited than I am about how it was done.
Beautifully, beautifully said. And I will recommend to anyone out there, if you maybe are a newcomer to WWE and you know more about Bray Wyatt than you know about the talent behind Uncle Howdy. Bray's brother is an unbelievable talent. When he was Bo Dallas, he was an unbelievable talent. As Uncle Howdy, he's going to be unbelievable. Yeah, absolutely touching, beautifully said. Right now, that is the most important topic of the day, the emergence of the Wyatt Six and the return of Seth freaking Rollins. Will it last the rest of the show? We'll find out next. We'll be right back. All right, the second half. Can Seth freaking Rollins make it to the end of Over the Top? Well, up next in Vegas over the weekend, Gervonta Davis knocked out Frank Martin in the 8th round to retain his WBA championship in front of myself and a raucous MGM Grand Arena crowd. After the fight, Tank hit a backflip off the top rope to celebrate. That gave me moonsault vibes. It really was moonsaulting. It was amazing. So it begs the question, do we want to keep talking about the return of Seth Rollins and everything else from Monday Night Raw, maybe as we head into Money in the Bank season, or do we want to talk about Tank Davis's greatness?
As much as I enjoyed Tank Davis, I think I would probably get in trouble with my bosses if I came onto this here fantastic podcast, had an opportunity to discuss how fantastic WWE is right now, and chose something else instead. So, Peter, I am going to force us to remain on this track at least a little bit longer.
Hold on. Is that Corey Graves or Sam the Shill Roberts? I can't.
Oh, my God. Oh, wow. Dirty pool, Rosenberg.
I'm down to Shill as well. It was a hell of an episode, and you made a really good point earlier when talking about Seth's return, the debut of the Wyatt Six. Everyone does know the sort of quiet secret, if you've watched the WWE sort of calendar going back, practically to WrestleMania 1. There is a period between WrestleMania and the end of the summer that gets a little bit quiet. A lot of people nursing injuries, trying to find their way, stories reset, new people emerge. And then by the time you get to now, Money in the Bank, in July, you're generally getting into the next season of WWE. You mentioned the people who have stepped up. Who is your MVP of the period that we've had between Mania and Money in the Bank?
Oh my goodness. There are quite a few I could name. That's a long period. I'm going to say, oh my God.
Let's count to three. Think for another second.
Okay.
Let's count to three and say a person.
Singular. One person who I think is the MVP of all of WWE since WrestleMania.
Just since WrestleMania. All right. Do you have someone? I have someone.
Yeah, so do I.
All right, here we go. After I say three, we both say the name. Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Cody Rhodes. I was going to go Gable and I changed it the last second. Gable has been that dude. I swear to God, Peter, I was going to say Gable and I was like, oh, no, I could probably get a little more meat on the Cody Rhodes discussion. But yeah, Gable has been doing the Lord's work lately.
I mean, there was a moment, man, where Chad Gable, I think everyone was thinking, what could he be? He gave you like slight Kurt Angle vibes. Now it's like more than just slight vibes. You're like, oh, he's going to be the next dude of that ilk. And he's incredible in the ring. He's incredible on the mic. He's so hateable like Kurt Angle was. The funniest thing to me, Graves, and I think we can say this now safely, being that history's been written, everyone thought the Olympic character was going to be Gable Steveson. They had the wrong Gable.
Yeah.
It's Chad Gable who's going to be a superstar in WWE.
You know what I think is interesting, Peter, and I think you're going to see it probably a little bit more frequently in the next year, 18 months or so. You're going to see a lot of superstars, and this is just my opinion, who came up through the system, through NXT, maybe went back to the black and gold NXT days or the earlier days of NXT, who came up to Raw or SmackDown, and let's just say they weren't looked at through the same lens as when they were succeeding in NXT. Different set of eyes running, different set of hands controlling things. I think you're going to get to see a few more superstars become more authentic versions of themselves, perhaps who we thought or someone up top thought they were going to be initially or early on, and then they were forced to detour for one reason or another. I mean, it happens frequently. That's probably more common than getting to succeed at a high level as your authentic self. Rarely is your final vision where you end up. But I think Gable's a shining example of somebody who was maybe typecast incorrectly for many years. And now finally, you have a different chef in the kitchen and saying, no, we just need to do it differently. And boom, here we are talking about how amazing he's been since Mania.
All right, up next, on the heels of free agency, Splash brother Klay Thompson unfollowed the Warriors on IG over the weekend. However, he didn't scrub his feed entirely of all Warriors content. The most recent post of Thompson in a Warriors jersey dates back to 2022. His teammate Draymond Green said on his podcast, "I had no idea it happened. I think it's fucking hilarious." Do we want to stick with WWE, or do you have any interest in Klay unfollowing the Warriors?
Listen, I think we could have a little fun with this discussion in the sense that in the year 2024, this is something that we actually concern ourselves with.
Yeah.
That one of the greatest ball players in the league unfollowed his team, which also could be a strategic move because that's where we're at, where your social media following factors into your contract value at times. And if you come with a million followers, hey, that's worth a couple more bucks. That's the day and age we live in. It's absolutely insane to me. I too think it's pretty effing hilarious that this is being made into such a big deal, but who cares?
I know. Well, listen, let's move on from WWE, which of course I recommend. July 4th weekend, just a couple days after the 4th, Money in the Bank in Toronto. It's going to be amazing. You can watch it on Peacock. But let's talk about the ridiculousness, the unfollow move. I mean, it's even worse in football, Graves, because like in basketball, at least we know almost all the players are soft. But when like, it's football and like everyone's tough and it's like, yo, son, I think I'm about to unfollow this team. It's just... It makes me yearn of yesteryear. It makes me become that old guy who feels like back in my day. I mean, was Larry Bird unfollowing the Celtics?
They weren't going to give me that extra million until I unfollowed them. Then they knew I meant business.
Have you ever had a planned unfollow? Like maybe someone you work with or a friend that you were like, I know this is going to be something and I'm doing it. Unfollow.
No, Peter. I've never been great at social media and I've put, I don't even know who I follow. I use especially on X now, it's for you. It's not even people that I follow. It just tells me what I'm supposed to look at, and I just read that and then go about my day. I'm totally not turning into a drone at all. I'm not being controlled by AI or anything.
No, not at all. They're not literally forcing all of your thoughts right down your throat every single day when you wake up. You are fully in control of what's going on. No, I've never done the, like, oh, they're going to know I'm unfollowing unfollow. In fact, it's the opposite. There have been times when I want to unfollow someone, but I'm worried they would then realize that I feel a way about it, and I'm just stuck following them.
I do the opposite, where I see people that I do not follow who I want to follow, but I'm afraid that they'll see in their notifications that I just now followed them and we just had lunch like the day before. Like, what are we doing here? We're not on that level, and I don't want to be the one that's responsible for that.
That is so ridiculous, and I appreciate it fully. All right, up next, Corey Graves is here, which means we can talk some baseball.
Hey, yay.
His Pittsburgh Pirates are currently fourth in the Central. The Dodgers were rolling until Mookie Betts took a fastball off his hand this weekend. The Phillies are hot. They've cooled off a bit since London, and the Yankees are the first team to 50 wins. Plus, the only exciting thing about the Mets is that Grimace recently threw out the first pitch, and they ripped off a bunch of wins, leading to chatter about the Grimace effect in Queens. Let's move on from Klay Thompson. Good luck, Klay. Honestly, I mean, he's had a hell of a run in Golden State. I think it's probably time they find a new home for him where he can just be someone's sharpshooter. I think that's the place he's at in his career. But a real asset team-wise, plays great defense still, effort guy, quality player. But let's move on. Let's talk baseball. You were at the Pirates game yesterday, weren't you?
I sure was. I got to see Paul Skeens live and in living color for the first time, and boy, he did not disappoint.
I think you were actually visibly excited from watching him perform in person. You appeared that excited to me.
There are very few places on earth where I am just at complete bliss, at peace with myself, and PNC Park is that place. I had my son beside me. I had a cold beverage in my hand. I was watching the best young pitching prospect in the game do his thing. Ellie De La Cruz was out there. They played against the Reds. It was amazing. There's nothing that makes me happier than just sitting at a baseball game. What
are they charging for a large adult beverage at PNC Park in Pittsburgh?
Well, if you're like me and you're a real true Yinzer and you drink our local specialty, the Giants, I think their 24-ounce cans of IC Light are about $13. So it's pretty reasonable.
I guess by baseball standards.
By baseball standards, absolutely. It's a bargain.
A place that you're never going to get a bargain is Yankee Stadium. But this team, man, they keep finding a way. They've now, of course, been dealing with a couple of injury things that are of some concern. That being said, they'll get Garrett Cole back at some point. They're already at
I believe he starts this week. No, I think I got a notification that Cole's starting.
That he's back, that he's done with, he was playing down the street in Jersey. But yeah, we will get Garrett Cole now. So, Graves, do you think this is finally the year that for the first time since 2009, the Yankees do what they're supposed to do?
Man, it's so hard. You could ask me that question at any point between then and now, and I would have probably agreed. Yeah, nobody makes me a believer more easily than the Yankees. Every year they fool me. And I'm not a diehard, I'm a Pirates fan first and foremost, but I used to pay attention to the Yankees because I'm a Pirates fan. And for 20 years of losing seasons, you have to have some hope. I think the Yankees, I think this could be their year, but I've thought that for 4 or 5 times since 2009 or whatever you just mentioned. I guess time will tell. I mean, look at I'm going to take it back to the Pirates because this is what I'm dealing with as a Pirates fan. You enter the season with absolutely no hope. Mm-hmm. And here we are almost at the All-Star break and they're kind of hovering around. They're in the wild card discussion and it's like, oh my God. And it's almost more painful than having high expectations because you go from no expectations to, oh my God, this is finally going to happen to, yeah, right. You forgot. And Yankees fans have kind of gotten, you sort of conditioned yourself to that. But it's the hardest part about being a Pirates fan.
And that's the hardest thing about baseball. It's a 162 game season. So you have to look at it in these kind of big chunks. When you look at it granularly every single day, it's very hard to know what's going on. But with Soto and Judge and then Garrett Cole, I think they'll survive the Rizzo injury. It's just a matter of whether these teams show up in the playoffs. Like if you're a team that makes the playoffs every year, do you hit in the playoffs? We'll find out. Like he did at WrestleMania 9 when he stuck his nose in the Bret Hart Yokozuna main event. Hey, Graves, can you tell my producers a mark? Hulk Hogan might be sticking his 24-inch pythons in the presidential election. The Hulkster said on Fox and Friends that, quote, we need someone in there that's got some common sense. So if you need a president or vice president, I'll volunteer and take this country over, and I'll rule with an iron fist, a flat tax, nothing but common sense. I know right from wrong, brother. Do you want to talk about Major League Baseball or Hulk Hogan as a presidential candidate, which I think you and I could break down in full inside.
We might need to start a whole new podcast only for that, because my brain just started exploding hearing you say this out loud. I did see the headlines. I skimmed through them, but hearing it said out loud on an actual platform is absolute insanity.
Let's toss baseball over the top rope, and let's talk Hulk Hogan. I want to be realistic about this. Graves, he's as patriotic a man as there's ever been. No one's ever going to question that. You know, he never had a Sergeant Slaughter moment where all of a sudden he started, switching his allegiance to another country. He's a confirmed patriot. He still physically looks very, very imposing as long as he's still fully wearing the bandana and has the whole look together. He still looks like Hulkster.
Sure.
The arms look great. He could probably still get up one last leg drop. The problem is if he does it, I think he may physically explode when he lands.
Yeah, that's entirely possible. I just keep in my head picturing him sitting at one of those long tables that people in power discuss things at. And, Emmanuel Macron or whoever is at the one end. And then there's Hulk Hogan at the other. And he just goes, that doesn't work for me, brother. Do you think he's going to pull that out that could be a political disaster. It should scare people.
The line that doesn't work for me, brother, could be what ends our peace as a nation. Yeah, that's something. Now here's my question. During how many of his addresses as president do you think Hulk would mention the time he had his leg broken when he was being broken into the business?
Oh, every time. And how Andre the Giant grew exponentially each year. Yeah. He started at around
1,000 pounds.
Well over 1,000. Yeah, he weighed the same as a Amtrak train when I body slammed him in the Superdome, brother. Hey, listen, they would be amazing press conferences. Could you imagine a debate with Hogan? Talk about the old WrestleMania promos where he's talking about the planes going down and into the ocean, and I'm going to get all the Hulkamaniacs on my back, and we're going to doggy paddle to. I mean. He's got the charisma down. I just don't necessarily think the decision-making part is strong.
He does. We'll see. Well, up next, I think we're going to move on to this. NFL insider Albert Breer is claiming that Aaron Rodgers missed all of the Jets' mandatory minicamp for what now? Another ayahuasca retreat. Yeah, sorry, Hulkster. Over the top you go. We got to talk about this.
I thought you were going to say Aaron Rodgers unfollowed them.
Yeah, or that. No. Listen, this is crazy. I had a hunch this is where he would be. Think about it how you may. If you're a teammate of Aaron Rodgers, open your mind, bro. Because, he's been known to open his mind into all the different possibilities that could possibly exist. But most people agree the Jets really mishandled this situation. Robert Saleh said Rodgers' absence was inexcused, but that he had an event, quote, that was very important to him. I don't know exactly how the Jets should have handled this, but I know it wasn't handled well, and I'm sorry. Are we allowed to say, hear me out, Graves?
Yeah.
I'm on the radio in New York every day. Last year, I had to talk to Robert Saleh once a week, okay? I promise you, I want this Jets team to be good. I promise you, I want Aaron Rodgers to be entertaining and be out there on the field entertaining with his amazing skill, because when he is playing at his best, in my opinion, he is the best quarterback I've ever seen play. That's how good Aaron Rodgers is to me. But by doing this, by missing anything mandatory, voluntary, to me, Graves, when you're a team that's trying to figure out how to be led and you have a guy getting paid $40 million to be the leader, and he chose a drug retreat to basically get effed up and clear out his mind again, I'm sorry, dude. He is crossing into full-blown tool territory. That's where I'm at with it. What say Corey Graves?
I would suggest making ayahuasca retreats OTAs, organized team activities. Take the entire team down to Mexico, Mr. Rodgers, and let everybody party, let everybody clear their minds together. Who knows? Maybe you guys come up with some brand new theory on how to play football together, but do it as a team. When you are supposed to be the face of the franchise, particularly in New York City, man. I mean, you know better than I do. You have to be there. He's going to be given all the credit for the successes. He needs to be given all of the blame for, with what he is responsible for. Obviously got hurt last year. But if things don't go well, The city's going to look at Aaron Rodgers and go, hey, wait, you're our new $40 million man. You're the greatest quarterback Peter Rosenberg's watched in his lifetime. Why can't we win a game? Yeah, I don't know, bro, but I saw God and he was beautiful, you know?
Yeah, dude.
Priorities, I guess. I don't know.
Have you ever seen Neverending Story? I was like flying with the dog, bro. And like we saw everything and like the Jets are going to win. You said it perfectly. If it's going to be as a team, great. Do it as a team. But when you're the leader of the team, man, you can't just go on a trip, literally and figuratively, when there are team things to do. I'm sorry. It's terrible. Bill Belichick is now dating a 24-year-old. Oh, what a perfect segue.
I was hoping we would get to talk about it.
Belichick is dating a 24-year-old former Patriots cheerleader. No, for real, this is happening. This is confirmed by news outlets. I think we've covered Aaron Rodgers, Graves. I feel like you have things to say about Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick's new chick.
You know what I have to say about Bill Belichick? Well done, sir. You're the greatest coach of all time, and you continue to defy the odds and set new standards for men here in the United States of America. Good for you, Bill Belichick. You've done whatever you wanted to do. You've succeeded at the highest levels in your professional life. Life goes on. I mean, I don't foresee this being a long-term romance that is made into movies as time progresses. But let the man live a little bit.
That was never even something that crossed my mind when I saw this story. That like,
you didn't think like
they remake Titanic with Belichick and his new girlfriend.
Yeah,
I wasn't even thinking about it being one of the all-time love stories we've ever seen.
It could be, and I mean, stranger things have happened. Not many, but
I always think about these things. Listen, I'm not one to judge, bro. Whatever, people, maybe they just are really super into each other, and God bless. But like, how awkward is that first time he brings her back to dinner with the kids and grandkids?
Listen, if we learned nothing from Anna Nicole Smith and J. Howard Marshall, it's that love is blind, Peter.
See, this is the problem.
It's that love is blind, and perhaps your life would be enriched if you got to experience it quite like these couples.
I've had now 2 conversations on microphones about the Belichick relationship. In both conversations, the person I was talking to brought up Anna Nicole Smith.
Really?
I don't think that's a good sign.
No, that's really weird. I thought I just had like a really clever deep cut. That's top of mind. That's a red flag if there ever was one, sir.
Yeah, exactly. I know exactly why Anna Nicole Smith.
But I married a Patriots cheerleader, so I mean, I'm a little biased.
Oh my God, you are Belichick, dude. I forgot.
Yeah, I married a Patriots cheerleader / Lakers girl / women's champion.
Women's champion.
She's only a couple years younger than me. Don't worry.
I was going to say she's within 5 years of you, though, isn't she?
Yes.
All right. So you're not quite Belichick, though. You do have a brilliant mind. Well, that's it. That's 90 seconds, which means we've come to a conclusion. The new, undisputed, most important thing on planet Earth this week is Bill Belichick's new chick. Emphasize on chick if you can't follow. 74, I think, and she's 20. It's just 50 years, bro. All right, that is it for us. Graves, thank you so much, dude, for filling in. I really appreciate it. That was fun.
Thank you for having me, and I'm going to congratulate myself for not totally driving your show off the rails.
You did the opposite. Tune in next week. Peter will be back, and we will determine the only thing you need to care about and what goes over the top.